me read you one I call the Shark's Parlor. This is about fishing for shark. The way we used to do it was a very primitive way indeed. You got a lot of strong cord, and you put on the end of it about 8 or 10 feet of chain, and at the end of the chain you put a big shark hook, drop forward shark hook. Then you get a big chunk of meat, preferably slightly rancid or more than slightly, and you put it out in somewhere there's a channel, if you're by the ocean, where there is a channel, and then you get lots of blood and offal and so on from the local slaughterhouse, and you throw it all around there where the hook is, and you have to holding the hook in place as would be like a gallon jug that you have sealed up to serve like a bobber, like a cork. And then you go back to land and see what happens. So this is sometimes not very much, sometimes more than you bargain for. This is a poem, as I say, called The Shark's Parlor. And it's about boys who are maybe a little bit too young to be doing this bloody business, but do it, and then with what happens they have to contend with. But actually, it's a poem also, I think, about remembering something that happened to you long ago, remembering it in middle age, and realizing later on in life what things were involved in this event that you yourself perpetrated and were caught up in. In this case, the scene is an ocean and a beach and two early adolescent boys and a summer house and some rope and a chain and a hook and a shark. At that place in Georgia where this is supposed to have happened, the beach cottages are down close to the ocean, and at night at high tide the tide comes way up 4 or 5 feet up from the floor of the sand up under the house, and you have strange dreams when you wonder what kind of sea creatures are circling under your bed. All of that's in this. Anyway, it's called The Shark's Parlor. Memory. I could take my head and strike it on a wall on Cumberland Island, where the night tide came crawling under the stairs, came up the first 2 or 3 steps, and the cottage stood on poles all night with the sea sprawled under it, as we dreamed of the great fin circling under the bedroom floor. In daylight, there was my first brassy taste of beer, and Peyton Ford and I came back from the Glenn County slaughterhouse with a bucket of entrails and blood. We tied one end of a hawser to a spindling porch pillar and rode straight out of the house 300 yards into the vast front yard of windless blue water, the rope out slithering its coil, the 2-gallon jug stoppered and sealed with wax, and a 10-foot chain leader, a drop-forward shark hook nestling. We cast our blood on the waters, the land blood easily passing for sea blood, and we sat in it for a moment with the stain spreading out from the boat, sat in a new radiance, in the pond of blood in the sea, waiting for fins, waiting to spill our guts also in the glowing water. We dumped the bucket and baited the hook with a run-over collie pup. The jug bobbed, trying to shake off the sun as a dog would shake off the sea. We rowed to the house, feeling the same water lift the boat a new way, all the time seeing where we lived rise and dip with the oars. We tied up and sat down in rocking chairs, one eye or the other responding to the blue-eye wink of the jug. Peyton got us a beer, and we sat there with blood on our minds, the red mark out in the harbor slowly failing us. Then the house groaned, the rope sprang out of the water, splinters flew. We leapt from our chairs and grabbed the rope, hauled, did nothing, the house coming subtly apart all around us, underfoot boards beginning to sparkle like sand, with the glinting of the bright hidden parts of 10-year-old nails pulling out. The tarred poles we slept propped up on, leaning to sea as in land wind, crabs scuttling from under the floor as we took turns about 2 more porch pillows and looked out and saw something, a fish splash, an almighty fin in trouble, a moiling of secret forces, a false start of water, a round wave growing in the whole of Cumberland Sound, the one ripple. Peyton took off without a word. I could not hold him either, but clung to the rope anyway. It was the whole house bending its nails that held whatever it was. Coming in a little, and like a fool, I took up the slack on my wrist. The rope drew gently, jerked. I lifted clean off the porch and hit the water, the same water it was in. I felt in blue blazing terror at the bottom of the stairs and scrambled back up, looking desperately into the human house as deeply as I could, stopping my gaze before it went out the wire screen of the back door, stopped it on the thistled rattan, the rugs I lay on and read, on my mother's sewing basket with next winter's socks spilling from it, the flimsy vacation furniture, a buck-toothed picture of myself. Peyton came back with 3 men from a filling station and glanced at me, dripping water, inexplicable. Then we all grabbed hold like a tug of war. We were gaining a little. From us a cry went up. From everywhere people came running. Behind us the house filled with men and boys. On the 3rd step from the sea I took my place, looking down the rope, going into the ocean, humming and shaking off drops. A house full of people put their backs into it, going up the stairs from me into the living room, through the kitchen, down the back stairs, up and over a hill of sand, across a dust road and onto a raised field of dunes. We were gaining. The rope in my hands began to be wet with deeper water. All other haulers retreated through the house, but Peyton and I on the stairs, drawing hand over hand on our blood, drawing into existence by the nose, a huge body becoming a hammerhead, rolling in beery shallows. As I began to let up, but the rope still strained behind me, the town had gone pulling mad in our house. Far away in a field of sand they struggled. They had turned their backs on the sea, bent double, some on their knees, the rope over their shoulders like a bag of gold. They strove for the ideal Esso station across the scorched meadow, with the distant fish coming up the front stairs, the sagging boards still coming in, up, taking another step toward the empty house where the rope stood straining by itself through the rooms in the middle of the air. "Pass the word," Peyton said, and I screamed it. "Let up, good God, let up!" To no one there. The shark flopped on the porch, grating with salt sand, driving back in the nails he had pulled out, coughing chunks of his formless blood. The screen door banged and tore off. He scrambled on his tail, slid, curved, did a thing from another world, and was out of his element and in our vacation paradise, cutting all 4 legs from under the dinner table with one deep water move. He unwove the rugs in a moment, throwing pints of blood all over everything we owned. Knocked the buck teeth out of my picture. His odd head full of crushed jelly glass splinters and radio tubes, thrashing among the pages of fan magazines, all the movie stars drenched in sea blood. Each time we thought he was dead, he struggled back and smashed one more thing, in all coming back to die 3 or 4 more times after death. At last we got him out, log rolling him, greasing his sandpaper skin with lard to slide him, pulling on his chained lips as the tide came, tumbled him down the steps as the first night wave went under the floor. He drifted off, head back, belly white as the moon. What could I do but buy that house? For the one black mark still there against death, a forehead toucher in the room he circles beneath and has been invited to wreck. Blood hard as iron on the wall, black with time, still blood-like, can be touched whenever the brow is drunk enough. All changes. Memory. Something like 3-dimensional dancing in the limbs, with age feeling more in 2 worlds than one, in all worlds, the growing encounter.